Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I am Dr. Gianni Lucchetti. I am head of the internal medicine department here at Consortium Hospitale de Vic. And today I would like to talk to you about problem-based learning and other disruptive or radical new ways to teach learners in how to be a doctor. As you know, I am not neither a pedagogue or a neurophysiologist, and I know that all the elements are against me because it's a session in English, it's after the lunch, and it's about a suspiciously abstract subject. Pardon? No se sent? Yes? I'm sorry. I have to repeat all the introduction? Thank you. I would like to talk about a suspiciously abstract subject, and I can see your worried face. Don't worry. I'll try to make the next 30 minutes something light and relaxing with two goals. The first goal is to keeping you awake and keeping me alive. And the second objective is to slightly open your mind to new ways of education that I think it could be of interest if applied here at the Consortium Hospitale de Vic. If you leave the session with a pinch of curiosity about something that I have that I said, I will have reached my aim. So it's only a matter of curiosity and open mind. Most of people in this room are familiar with teaching and learning. Maybe the old days in the classroom are distant in the past distance, but I'm not talking about our previous experiences. I'm talking about our daily activities, because we work and we live in a place that is the hospital where there is a constant updating in our knowledge. And this updating is usually do it by assisting or listening or doing sessions, but also in the micro reality of our day-by-day work. So we have to assume that in the same week or even in the same day, we can be teachers and we can be learners, and the hospital is a good place for teaching about education because of this. We are at the same time learners and teachers, and we have to assume that we all are experts in sharing our knowledge. Or are we? I don't know if we are. I don't know if any of you have ever think about the process of learning, about the process of acquiring new knowledge, about this complex and marvelous organ that sits behind our eyes. I don't know. But let's talk about it for a while, okay? And let's talk about how do we learn. And please let me introduce a friend of mine. He's a compatriot. His name is Galileo Galilei. You may know him. And he will guide us throughout the session with his pearls. And the first pearls is that good teaching is 1/4 of preparation and 3/4 of theater. So let's begin with theater. And let's begin understanding our brain by using some perception games. You may help me. How many triangles do you see here? 5? 8? Come on. Okay. But you are in agreement with me that there are no triangles here. There is no triangle here. Are only in your brains. Okay? Okay. Can you see these three men? Clearly, there's one that is taller than the others. Yes? It's the first. Okay. But all the three men are are exactly equal. Okay? So what's happening here? What's the problem? What's the matter? It's our powerful brain at work. It works this way. Here, we are masters in pattern recognition. Okay? We recognize patterns everywhere, every time, automatically, effortlessly, constantly. Is our way of thinking. Okay? And we are also masters in context recognition. Okay, we quickly analyze the world by putting new information into a context, and the context is what will guide us to interpret the world around us. And we can see connection lines. We can see connection lines here. We can see, there are no connection, but we can see connections because all of we know what a triangle is like. And here we see as taller the man behind because of the context, and the context in this picture is perspective. Okay, this is not a malfunction of our brain. Quite the opposite. Is how our brain works, and we use this strength, these powerful tools to build up our knowledge. We need patterns to compare new information, and then a context, because the context is essential to determine what will be the interpretation of that knowledge that we are acquiring. Okay? And our previous patterns are not only the same for us, for all of us, so that vision of the world, the vision of the world can be different depending on our previous experiences. Okay, what can you see here, Javi? Okay, for the male audience, it's just a lamp. Okay, but it depends on our previous patterns. Okay, it's a game, but alguien lo pillaba ahora. Okay. So we have to say that our brain is a neuronic net that is specialized in the recognition and confrontation of patterns and their context. Okay? Let's try a last experiment all together to keep us awake. Can you read in a loud voice this text, please? Venga. Come on. Es fantástico, que diría el Ponset. So our brain is working like that. Okay. Okay. So let's move on to another concept. This is a hard concept. It's constructivism. Now that you believe that our brain works as I showed you, we have to talk about constructivism. Constructivism is a philosophical view on how we come to know, on how we come to understand the world, and it works with three primary propositions that I want to explain to you. Okay, the first proposition of constructivism is that understanding is in our interactions with the environment. Okay. The process of learning is based on the contrast between the facts that we are facing, our previous experiences, or the sum of our previous experiences, and our goals as learners. And this confrontation ratifies or modifies our previous patterns. So that is leading to physical changes in the synaptic connection in our brain, the confrontation between the new facts and our previous patterns or experience. This is the first founding pillar of the constructivism. The second one is a little bit more difficult to understand, but I'll try in English. Is that cognitive puzzlement is the stimulus for the learning and determines the organization and nature of what is learned. Okay, here, when we are in a learning environment, we have a goal, we have a purpose for being there, and this stimulus, this goal, is a primary factor in determining what the learner is attentive to and what previous experiences is bringing to the learning environment to learn a new thing. And finally, is basic in making the final understanding and how we construct this final understanding or knowledge. Okay, so the puzzlement is like a perplexity. When something is radical new and it shocks our previous patterns, that's a puzzlement. It's a perplexity, and the more puzzly is a situation, the more we are attentive to learn. Okay. And the third proposition of constructivism is that knowledge evolves through social negotiation and through the evaluation of the viability of our individual understanding. As human beings, we are constantly seeking for viability of our understandings, because there is no an absolute truth. I have to confront my truth with the truth of the rest of my neighbors. So our social environment is primary in providing alternative views and additional information to test the viability of my understanding. Do you understand something? Yes? Luego me lo explicáis. So, to synthesize a little bit constructivism, because it's a hard part, but I think it's a very interesting part, and I hope you will read about this philosophical view after this session. Constructivism is saying that what we understand is a function of the content, of the context, the activity of the learner, and his goals. And we have to take in account all these characteristics in order to teach something to somebody. And the most important thing for me is that constructivism says that learning is a social progress. It's difficult to learn something alone. We learn because we work and we think together as a social animals. Okay? And sorry, aquí. And we have been this way since when we were hunters and gatherers, sitting together, explaining our experiences, sharing our knowledge, to trying to improve as a group, no, trying to learning collectively, and our brain has been working this way for the last 1 million years. But instead of that, how are we teaching? We are still trapped in the Socratic way. No? We tell the learners constantly what to do and how to think. The teacher has the right answer, has the knowledge, and if we think about the word master in English, but also in Latin, it has a connotation of property and control. The master, the teacher, is the one who is the owner of the knowledge, is the one who tells what has to be learned and what does not. So master has this connotation since Socrates, and we are still perpetuating this model. We are perpetuating a model that is clearly professor-centered, is unidirectional, is encyclopedic, and in my modest opinion, is neurally inefficient. We can pimp it up with adding some technology, but it's still the same. The technology is not what changes an educational methodology. And it's sad to say, but we are doing this way not only as teachers, but also as a students, because as learners we tend to identify teaching only as the classic scheme on one teacher sharing the knowledge, and other thing different than this is not teaching and learning. I think it's very sad, because we are living in a new era. This one is just for relax. Relax me. Well, now you are experts and you know that the central ball is always the same size. It's difficult, but it's okay. Galileo was the first person in the in the world to tell behind every problem there is an opportunity. Then the hallmark is here in Consortium, but the first person was Galileo Galilei. Okay, so we are living in a new era, you know, where change is the only constant, and our value as knowledge workers is no longer measured by our previous understandings or previous knowledge or previous abilities. Our value is determined by our skills and how we adapt to new problems and situations. Is what we call the know-how. No? We are measured by know-how. And modern organizations need people skilled in different things that classic organization. No? People skilled in teamwork, in leadership, in communication. ¿Se ha muerto? Yeah. in leadership, in communication, in teamwork, in critical thinking, and very important, dealing with unstructured problems. In this conceptual framework, conceptual and social framework, in the late 60s in Canada was born the problem-based learning methodology at the McMaster University in Hamilton, that's near Toronto, and it was born on the wave of the constructivism philosophy, and in the need for active learners taking an active role in selecting and organizing information, in constructing hypotheses, in making decisions, and then in reflecting on their experiences to determine the transferability of their learning to other experiences to come. In contrast with the classic model, the PBL methodology is a learner-centered model, is multidirectional, is holistic, and I think that it's a little bit more physiological. The PBL methodology it takes its roots in the socialization of the knowledge. If you remember what we have said about constructivism, this is one of the conclusions. The PBL methodology boosts the learning not of pure data as the classic scheme, but boosts the learning of a methodology and the acquisition of new skills, and improve the skills related most of all with teamwork and communication. Okay, and what are the rules of the game? It's very easy to explain in Catalan. In English, it's a little bit more difficult, but I'll try to do my best. Okay. First of all, you need to create a group, to set up a group, and usually a group no more than 10 people, because participation and listening to the opinion of all the members of the group is a very important key in the process. So we need groups no larger than 10 people. After that, after the selection, is offered to the group a problem. Okay, and the problem usually is a short text with in medicine with a clinical scenario. Okay, not too specific because we don't want to guide too much the learner's discussion. And once the text has been read, the group starts the discussion. Okay, let's imagine a short text, maybe a problem-based learning problem text is just the story of an old man who is cropping tomatoes in his backyard in the middle of the canicula in July here in La Plana de Vic, and while cropping the tomatoes, he faints off and he has a syncope, and is brought to the hospital, and in the hospital he receives rehydration, and after that is discharged at home. Maybe the problem is just these few lines, and with these few lines we can talk about homeostasis, renin-angiotensin-aldosterone axis, the difference between syncope and lipophilia, the difference between dehydration and head stroke. Okay. Once the text has been read, the group starts the discussion, and this is the phase of the idea generation. Here, the learners use any previous knowledge related or not to the new issue in order to build up another knowledge, in order to build up hypotheses. Okay. During the discussion, the group identifies what new knowledge has to be learned in order to deal or to handle with the problem, and then in the final of the first sessions, one hypothesis is suggested. Okay, then the group draw a plan, an action plan, and splits the task. For example, Jordi will study the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone axis, and Nuria will explain us the next day the difference between head stroke and hyperthermia, and Daniela, I don't know. They split their tasks, and then there's a time for study along. Okay. Usually, one problem takes one week with 3 sessions to be solved, and the learners use the days between the presential sessions for the individual search of the information. Okay? During the sessions, the next sessions, there's an exercise of synthesis and application to the problem of the new knowledge acquired. There's this kind of discussion. Finally, once they achieve the goal of explain the hypotheses and all the knowledge related, there's a reflection about the achievement as a group of the goals of the problem and about the transferability of the new knowledge acquired to future situations. Okay? And that's it, the PBL. I don't know if you have understand something, but it's simply like that. It's a short problem, and this short problem contains tons of questions. And learners, as a group, decide what questions they want to answer and what not, what new knowledge they have to acquire and what not. And there is no teacher. There's a facilitator, there's a coacher, there's a tutor, but there is no teacher, because it's the learner who decides what to study, how to explain, and how to apply to the problem situation. It's a methodology that is widely applied in the world, especially in North America, in the United States and in Canada. But here in Spain, we have, I think, 4 universities of medicine that are using this methodology. Universidad de Girona is using this methodology, and we have experts in this room in PBL methodology. And if you make a flashback to the 4 slides ago here, we are asking our students to collect information, making decisions, think in hypotheses, and after that reflecting for future situations. And I think it's resembling what we do here at the hospital, working as healthcare workers every day. So I think it's something that we can use here, and we can start applying here to teach, not only to teach trainees or residents, but only to teach ourselves. Okay. The PBL methodology needs for activation of previous knowledge, and the output of the group is the generation of hypotheses. There's a time, for sure, that you have to spend individually studying subjects, and it's mandatory a common exposition of all the acquired knowledge as a group, and a final reflection about the results and the future applicability of the new skills. So there's a socialization of the knowledge. And here the faculty is no longer the expert dispensing of knowledge. Instead, the faculty takes the primary role only of coach and tutor, because knowledge is here now. There is more knowledge here than in the rest of the room. So we cannot be dispensers of knowledge. We only can try to be coach or tutor. Okay, and if there's nothing so practical as good theory, we can say that there's nothing so theoretically interesting as good practice. And this is the second disruptive way of teaching and learning that I want to talk to you about. It's also born on the wave of constructivism, and is the project-based learning. The project-based learning is like the practical application of the problem-based learning. Okay, again, is a way that challenges the traditional view of the student as a passive recipient of knowledge, and is used almost all at schools. There are a few universities that are using this methodology. In Barcelona, there's the UPC that is making a lot of projects with project-based learning in problematic neighborhoods. They take a social issue and they teach the learners with a project-based learning. Okay, Maria Montessori was one of the alma mater of this methodology, And she said that education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. So don't study about something. Do it. Okay? El movimiento se demuestra andando. Okay? Instead of learning, for example, I took a look to some projects in the internet. Instead of learning about nutrition in the abstract, students in a classroom act as a consultants to develop a healthier school cafeteria menu. And doing the project, they acquire knowledge, they acquire skills in communication, in leadership, in planification. For example, rather than learning about the past from a textbook in another school, students become historians as they make a documentary about an event that changed their community. And here in our hospital, instead of listening to a seminar of indication of head CT in the emergency room, our trainees engage in a project of right care. And we saw the experience a couple of months ago. Okay, that's a project-based learning. Projects are typically open-framed, with open-ended questions that drive learners to investigate, to do research, and to construct their own solutions. And in the process, there's the education. The output here is not only the final project, but it's all the way from the beginning to the end. And it's as I said, it's a complementary way of learning combined with problem-based learning. Okay. We have seen the problem-based learning. We have seen the project-based learning. And there are tons, I don't know tons, but a lot of new ways to teach and to learn, because it's the same thing. Teaching and learning is the same thing, yes, the same thing. There's another one that I am not expert, is design thinking. I take advantage of this session to ask to Núria Roger to invite Dr. Arrufat to explain us design thinking, because I know he's an expert or initiated in design thinking. Design thinking is something related to project-based learning, but with more practical application, with a prototyping phase, with a feed-forward phase once you have individuated the needs of your clients. And it's very interesting. It's a very interesting way of learning, related with the practical aspects of our profession, and I think it deserves a session here. There are many other ways of teaching, but we all, as teachers, as learners, as directors, we need motivation, we need will, and we need cultural change. And I want to read the last phrase of Galileo Galilei, because it talks about la ilusión. Do not just look, we need to watch with eyes that want to see, that want to believe in what they see. We have to be curious. The only goal of the session is open a little bit your mind, and you have to be curious as learners and as teachers. And that's all, because I don't have any more words in English to tell. And thank you for your attention.